Hey, what's up, everybody? So, I know that it's been a minute since the last time we all saw each other or spoke. It was just an amazing time at WrestleMania. Me and the rest of the crew all gathered around, and I met up with them at SmackDown, and then also uh, ran into them for the Hall of Fame ceremony. It was just an amazing time. We're all going to recap that and all get in, at some point in time just to go over what happened and what we did. I wanted to make this video to thank everybody too, because it was just a really, really awesome experience, just to meet my fellow colleagues, whether they're with Wrestle Legion or the Positively Awesome Wrestling podcast. It was just such an amazing event for me, and I thank everybody that I went with, just to all embrace and all have this conversation. So, and just unite. What the good thing is you could actually all meet on one basis of what brought you there, right? In this case, it was wrestling. And I just love the fact that I was able to talk and have more dialogue about life with all of my comrades. So I wanted to thank everybody for that. It was also the first time that Andy and I met in person, and it was just an amazing experience. I consider him a brother, and I love him very dearly, and I care um, about him and his family. So it was just really awesome just to hang out and have fun, especially with Simon and Nick as well. That was just a trip too, just to discuss with them. Yeah, just not only wrestling but life, and then also with Jimmy as well. And Alex did bring us together from Wrestle Buddy. That's how we all met. So it was just great to experience that. It might have been just a small pocket of time, but I appreciate that, and I wanted to thank everybody for that. Needless to say, the main reason why we were all there was because of WrestleMania. And I was only available to go due to personal reasons. I was only nothing bad, don't worry. But I was only able to go to SmackDown in the Hall of Fame for a little bit. And it was just a great ordeal. It was fun to actually go to a SmackDown for the first time in God years, I think it was. Um, so I think that it was just nice to actually be able to just experience not only the Battle Royal, but also some good promos as well. And then also going to the Hall of Fame and see just the epicenter of everybody involved in my childhood all in one room, which is really cool. And a lot of people know that Bo Nakano is my lady. I love just her career in general. But not to really get too much into that, I want to go into just how WrestleMania was in itself. It was amazing. It was amazing. I don't know how to explain it. Now they could my colleagues could definitely explain it more on a basis of, all right, we were there, we got to experience it. I know that sometimes when you're there, how does that translate to everything at home? I guarantee you it probably was equal. They probably saw more things in a different light. I saw more things in another light. But just to all interact and counter it and just compare notes as far as like, oh, did you see Undertaker there? Or did you have any idea? Were there any inklings of anything? It was just really awesome to experience that. And, to have that conversation, which we will go in depth soon. Um, but I want to just talk a minute about how there's another company that obviously you know how I feel about it. How I don't want to call it Bush League because that's kind of stupid. I think it's more like, all right, they're catering to a certain niche audience, and I like that. But at the same time, they need to expand, and part of expanding is just grabbing interest, not just for other people or people that never really identify themselves as wrestling fans, but also for people like me, make me want to watch. Um, WrestleMania was a huge success. And I think that instead of people trying to reach and pull down the reins, no pun intended, of WrestleMania, I think you should just build on that success. What do I mean by that? I think shortly, a little bit after, I think it was Saturday night, when the main event was going on for night one. By the way, I want to put out there WrestleMania being 2 nights is just way too much. But now I understand why they do it because it is a weekend event, and the city of Philadelphia is definitely loving the revenue stream from it too. So I can't even deny them on that. Um, but I do believe that if you're looking at just the amazing Cody Rhodes family and all that information, like the whole storyline with that and where that goes. I was actually talking with the Hall of Famer, the on at WrestleCon about that. I said I wanted Reigns to win, and he said, "Why?" I'll tell you who it was. It's Hacksaw, Jim Duggan. He was awesome. It was a great experience meeting them at WrestleCon. I'll talk about that another time. But I said to him, I said the thing that I believe about Cody and Reigns, because he said I was the minority in the place thinking that Reigns should win, and I actually sat there. I said, well, this also has a situation of Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, where more people were looking at Hogan because they loved Hogan and when Ultimate Warrior won. And that might be the same case where it's like, all right, look at the storyline that we built with Reigns. Are more people going to focus on him? And it didn't happen, thankfully. Whether you wanted Reigns to win for the bloodline or if you wanted Cody to win, I think a lot of people were happy with just how it played out. But I want to talk basically about how AEW should capitalize off this. I understand that what I'm getting back at is WrestleMania Night 1 had a release statement. And I don't know why the Young Bucks are on there too. Maybe they're just going to be the ones that um, usher and play out the whole CM Punk issue with All In. So I guess maybe we'll see what exactly happens. It really, you didn't have to advertise them because they are not everybody's cup of tea. But I don't know why you advertise them overall because they are supposed to be figureheads. Meanwhile, they definitely don't act like figureheads. So maybe they should just find somebody else to actually introduce the footage. Have an announcer, have somebody that feels comfortable with being on camera. I don't know. Because whether they think that they are comfortable or not, it just looks like they are just unlikable people. So first of all, you're really just bringing down all this crap with CM Punk, with just having these guys that are unlikable that started a fight with him in the back, and they did months, a year prior. So I don't know what you're going to try to prove when you have them airing out this old footage of CM Punk. Meanwhile, the only time they get any type of viewership is when they involve something like CM Punk. He's still the biggest draw in AEW. What Tony Khan needs to do is, I understand he's going to air this out because this is not that bait and switch. He obviously needs to just go out there and do a reset. This company needs a reset. Everything going on right now, nothing is interesting to anybody anymore. You had Swerve being one of the best baby faces out there now, even though he ransacked somebody's house and ended up winning a blood feud with Hangman Adam Page. But Hangman then let Samoa Joe win in that triple threat so that Swerve couldn't win. That is the stupidest cop out I've ever seen. What this company needs to do is reset. You could still have Swerve as a number one contender. It's a pretty decent program. It's one of the better programs that they have out there, and put the belt on him. This reign for Samoa Joe has done nothing for him. Um, you got to reset the ranking systems. You need to redo whatever type of interest you have with this whole Mercedes Monet, Willow Nightingale issue. The return on investment that Mercedes Monet has been is there is no return. I don't see this being a lucrative thing for the company. She comes out there, she says nothing, she acts like she's, no pun intended, the boss when she's not. She throws out the ranking system, even though she says, "All right, whoever wins this, I'll be the next in line for the title." Says who? Um, I haven't seen John Moxley on the TV. That's a really good thing, because he just doesn't add anything as well to the entire company, I guess you could say. Um, I'm watching. some of Dynamite, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on when it comes to just the rest of the women's division besides Tony Storm. Tony Storm's got something going on. And it's just a nice character that she has, but I feel like there's no grudges there. Like even with Willow and Mercedes Monet, we still have never figured out why they're mad at each other. It was almost like, well, how does one strip a title of somebody else and then say, okay, um, we're not going to explain something to you. That's exactly what they did with CM Punk. That's exactly what they did with the trios titles. It was never clarified to us. And for somebody that caters to smart fans, it's just beyond me why this is something that has never been enlightened to the crowd or showed to the crowd. I don't know. I really think like you could have something because they did, I think, what was it last week, an angle with Trent from the Best Friends. And this is what the funniest part is. Okay. Orange Cassidy, right? He's supposed to be lackadaisical and not care, if I recall. If he gets into an angle with Trent, for somebody that doesn't care or shows no interest in anything, why should he be in an angle? I don't know. They really need to just pick up other places and say, all right, I understand you had cuts, which is the first thing you do when you want to be a successful company. I don't know if they want to be successful because they just want to cater to certain fans. But I'm looking at this pay-per-view, right? And obviously you're not filling out stadiums. And it was just released earlier today that Arthur Ashe has been dropped as far as a site for the New Japan Pro Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which is smart because I know that New York, in my market, they do have smart fans and some that really enjoy that New Japan Pro style. Nothing wrong with that. My whole thing is, are you going to fill up that whole stadium? You can have a capacity of Westbury Music Hall, the Westbury, what is it, New York Community Bank, NYCB Theater. You could do that and have wrestling. I've seen TNA there years ago. It's an excellent place. When you start bringing in those venues and then something like the Impact Zone, what they had, it was a successful show and they did have good storylines. Storylines. I don't think there's really anything going on as far as storylines go that really captivate an audience at this point in time. And the biggest feature that they're trying to do right now is CM Punk when he got into a fight. I don't know if that's what you really want to advertise because how are you going to follow it up the next week? This is just not going to be a good look for Tony Khan. And I hate saying this all over the time, all the time, right? I hate dunking on this guy. But the first thing I thought of when these layoffs happened was, did he tell anybody? I guarantee you he didn't. Nobody spoke with him about this. They just found out through social media. This guy's not a boss. He's a hobbyist. He's somebody that has a crowd-funded hobby, right? I don't know. To me, it's just really upsetting because I feel like they're not going to do the right thing and try to upgrade their product. They're doing the right thing with certain hires behind the scenes. But I will say this, I did hear capable sources or sources while at WrestleCon having a discussion with certain people from the back office. I stumbled on this. I swear on my life. I'll disclose it during one of our next podcasts, the story about how nobody asks for advice. People just go and do their work in and out, day in and day out. They need to reset that program. They need to say, all right, we have a proper booker. I just don't get why there's people like Luchasaurus or Lance Hoyt or Wardlow that always have to lose. They're bigger than their opponents, always have to lose. Just beyond me. I really feel like this is a time where you need to bank off the success and just say, you know what, this ain't start and this ain't working. Scrap that. Nobody's gonna fault you for doing that. Nobody's gonna sit there and say, oh, what about Mariah May? They're still gonna watch her. Sex sells. Okay, no matter what the storyline is. whether she's with Tony Storm or not. Or you just need to have Mercedes Moné just be a stupid bitch that she is. I don't think she's a stupid bitch, but I think that other people could call her that in the ring. Grab some intrigue instead of people smiling all the time. There's just a waste of talent there. And I feel like people like Chris Statlander and Wardlow, and some of your tag team division too, just really need to be elevated instead of, all right, let's just float around, have this good match, bad match. I just want a story. A city is a foundation. It's something that is built upon and people go to and cultivate it, right? Friendship or a ship is something that sails and goes from port to port, right? It travels everywhere. It's not always there. Friendship is what comes and goes. All right. It's successful when it goes back and forth. Okay. But that doesn't mean that it's even keeled or it doesn't mean that it's always going to be around. A city is built. Animosity is what attracts people. Animosity is what really gets people talking. There's a lot of people that love controversy. There's a lot of people that love drama, and that's inside an animosity. In animosity, inside the city, you could build more on a city than you could on a ship. I hope people understood what I just meant there. But yeah, I do believe that you could build a lot more on a city than on a ship. This is Dale from the Transatlantic Wrestling Talk. This is a live stream. I hope if you guys watch this, I hope you totally understand what I mean. I think wrestling on one end needs a reset because we're in a strong direction when it comes to WWE. Sky's the limit right here. This is a company that's not only making money, but it's also building good times. For the first time, my wife was really invested in something the other day. She, as much as she wants to claim that she didn't care, she wanted Roman to win for a couple reasons, but it was still something that she actually took part in and watched and loved that drama. There it is. Somebody that doesn't watch wrestling loved the animosity there. Dale from the Transatlantic Wrestling Talk Show. Talk with you soon.